Quantum physics indicates that 10 to the power of 500 versions of you are currently living in parallel realities. Hugh Everett III published this mathematical proof in his 1957 doctoral thesis at Princeton University. However, this revelation suggests your brain constantly splits into new worlds with every single choice. Niels Bohr dismissed the 24-year-old student's breakthrough as a total heresy. This rejection forced Everett to walk away from science forever. In the 1950s, what we call the measurement problem was the ghost haunting the house of physics. Imagine a coin spinning on a table. According to the standard Copenhagen interpretation, that coin isn't heads or tails while it's spinning. It is a ghostly blur of both possibilities, a state physicists call superposition. Only when you slap your hand down on it does the universe supposedly decide which side is up. Bohr, the undisputed pope of physics, insisted that the act of observation forced the wave function to collapse into a single reality. But Everett, sitting in the heart of the Princeton physics department, looked at the equations and saw something far more profound. He realized that if you treat the observer and the particle as part of the same quantum system, the math says the coin never actually stops being both. Instead, the observer themselves becomes entangled with the coin. The universe branches. One version of you sees heads, and another version, just as real as you are, sees tails. His original draft, titled The Theory of the Universal Wave Function, proposed that the wave function of the entire cosmos is a single, unfolding mathematical reality that never, ever collapses. It was a beautiful, terrifying vision of a multiverse where every possibility is realized. To the establishment at the Niels Bohr Institute, this wasn't just they saw a mere student challenging the very foundation of the scientific church they had spent decades building. When Everett's mentor, the legendary John Archibald Wheeler, traveled to Copenhagen in May 1956 to seek Bohr's blessing for the work, the elites of physics didn't just want to correct Everett, they wanted to erase his ideas from the record. This was the beginning of a tragedy that would see a genius exiled into the windowless offices of the Pentagon, leaving behind a legacy that would only be understood long after his heart finally gave out. It is the winter of 1954, and the air in Princeton is biting. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones and keeps you indoors. Inside a graduate dorm room, 3 young men are deep into a session of what physicists do best when the sun goes down. They are drinking and they are arguing about the nature of reality. Hugh Everett III is there, sharp-witted and already showing the signs of the chain-smoking, martini-drinking iconoclast he would become. With him are Charles Misner, a fellow brilliant student, and Aage Petersen. Now, Petersen is a crucial character here because he wasn't just another student. He was Niels Bohr's longtime assistant. He was the defender of the Copenhagen Gate, the man who carried. As the night wore on and the glasses were refilled, the conversation turned to the measurement problem. This was the ghost in the machine of quantum mechanics. According to Bohr and the Copenhagen School, a quantum particle, like an electron, exists in a hazy cloud of possibilities called a superposition. It is everywhere and nowhere at once. But the moment a classical observer, like you or me, looks at it, the wave function supposedly collapses into a single point. It was as if the universe were a shy actor that only performed when the curtains stayed closed, but snapped into a rigid pose the second the audience arrived. Everett, fueled by the logic of a mathematician and perhaps a bit of liquid courage, found this absurd. He looked at Petersen and Misner and posed a question that should have been obvious, but was considered heresy. Why do we treat the observer as something if the entire universe is governed by the Schrödinger equation, the fundamental math of quantum mechanics, then a human being is just a collection of atoms? A camera is just a collection of atoms. If the electron is a wave of probability, then the observer must be one too. In that room, Everett realized that there is no collapse. The wave function doesn't snap. It expands. When you measure a particle that is in two places at once, you don't force it to choose. Instead, you become entangled with it. You enter a state of superposition yourself. Think of it like a fork in a road that you don't just choose. You actually travel down both paths, but each version of you is unaware of the other. One version of Everett sees the electron here. Another version of Everett, in a mathematically distinct branch of the universe, sees it there. He called this the relative state formulation. To Everett, the math was clear. The wave function of the entire universe is a single, unfolding melody that never stops, never breaks, and never collapses. It just keeps branching, creating a staggering infinite web of decoherent realities. That night in 1954, while the rest of the world slept in what they thought was a single, solid reality, Hugh Everett III became the first human being to realize he was living in an infinite multiverse. But as he would soon find out, the Pope of Physics in Copenhagen did not take kindly to students who tried to rewrite the scriptures.